May 25th, 1977 saw the release of George Lucas's Star Wars, which quickly became a surprise blockbuster hit. Often regarded as one of the greatest and most influential movies ever made, it helped change the way movies were made and captured the imagination of a generation. Star Wars quickly became a pop culture phenomenon. Over the course of this series, I will be joined by a number of Star Wars fans from across YouTube and the toy collecting community, as we take a look back at their earliest memories of Star Wars and find out what made Star Wars great. Hello Toy Collector fans, Universal Toy Collector here, and welcome to the channel. And welcome to episode 8 of What Made Star Wars Great, the series where I get to speak to members of the YouTube toy collecting community about their first experiences with Star Wars, and to basically find out what made Star Wars great. And joining me this week is Mr. Dez T, because it's Star Wars. Hello sir, how are you?
I'm good, Stu. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you very much. We've just come off a busy weekend, haven't we, up at Echo?
Yeah, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
So, you enjoy it?
Oh, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. It's like a kid going to a sweet shop, but what a sweet shop. They've got everything. You know, it's great. I just love it. Just love everything about it.
Yeah, it's a great day out. It really is, and getting to meet like-minded people as well and friends that we've made in the community. I think that adds that little bit extra to it. So I really enjoyed it. Now, I really do appreciate you taking part in this series. So you know what it's about basically. So, and the reason I'm doing it is because there has been a lot of negativity around Star Wars, and as I've said many a times, I've given my views and opinions on it. I just wondered what your opinions were on the negativity. Is the negativity just with Star Wars?
I can see where it comes from. For me, I just enjoy Star Wars. You know, I'm not on certain sites and certain, and I don't read a lot of sort of critics' sort of opinions. I make my own opinion. You know, I'm quite sort of good at sort of blanking stuff out. You know, but the new stuff, it's all right. It could be so much better, but I'm all right with it. It's Star Wars. I remember the dark days from sort of 85 to sort of 90, sort of 95, 96. So anything that comes out is good, and I just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty much like you. I make my own mind up. I'm not swayed by anybody else, and so. I mean, I went into the Acolyte not knowing anything about it, so I didn't listen to any of the hoo-ha. So, I mean, so I watched it, made my own opinion, and yeah, I was to say I hate it is a strong word, because hate is a strong word, but I was really disappointed with the fact that you've got something that's had so much potential, but I don't think they fulfilled the potential. And then afterwards, because there was such backlash about it because of the writing and the breaking of canon, and it just got so ugly. And for me, I don't think it's right when a studio will come out, as in Lucasfilm and Disney, and even the actors came out and started attacking the fans. That is one quick fire way to lose the fandom. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later, about how important the fandom is. But I think that I just thought that was a massive mistake, and I don't think a lot of people are going to be coming back to Star Wars because of that.
But that's where I just don't. I won't say I don't listen to it. I'm just not aware of it. I just don't.
Yeah.
You know, I can just distance myself. I mean, I'm not even distancing myself from it because I'm not aware of where it is, and I just enjoy the show. Or there's some bits you don't like, and sort of leave. I'm not swayed by anybody's sort of view. I thought it was good. You know, it was
no. There's everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I've said before as well. You can't all like the same things, otherwise it's just going to be boring, and there's going to be no topics of discussion.
Exactly.
So that but it's just about respect, isn't it? Respecting other people's opinions.
Oh yeah,
but, I mean, with as far as Amanda Stenberg went, I didn't think anything of her, to be honest with you. When before that video came out, then she did this video, put it up on YouTube, and I was just like absolutely disgusted by it. And I was like, and I can't look at her again like that. And I just think, what? It's just no. I've got that image of her in that video in my head, and every time I was watching the rest of the series after that, I just thought, oh, I really do not like this woman. So that kind of put me off.
But see, I'm thinking, who's she? Is she the showrunner? See, you know, I'm not sort
No,
of aware of her.
she played May and Osha. She was
Oh,
the
okay.
girl
See,
that played May and
that,
Osha. So
that's.
yeah.
I thought you were talking about. Is it Leslie Headland?
Leslie Headland. Yeah,
That's what I thought
yeah,
you were talking. So
yeah,
I'm just. I don't care who the actors are. I don't
yeah.
care
Do you
whatever
know?
they are.
Do you
I'm
know
just
what?
on a.
I wish I was like you, Des, because I was on Twitter or X, should I say, as it's called
Yeah,
now, and oh my god, I've come off it. I was just like, what on
yeah,
earth is
yeah,
going on?
yeah.
And the fandom is so divided within Star Wars. It really is, and sometimes I think, are these people just doing it to irk the older
Oh,
generation of Star Wars fans and stuff like that, to get a reaction, so then they
certainly.
go, well, "You're this and you're that," and stuff like that, and you just think,
Yeah,
what is the point?
yeah. A certain percentage will be. But
Yeah,
no, I can just sort of, I'll say, not distance myself because I don't know what I'm distancing from. I'll just enjoy it for what it is.
yeah,
And then again,
yeah,
there's some bits that you like, some bits make you laugh, some bits make you what,
yeah.
you know.
I mean, a lot of people have given a fair critique of it, and I think a lot of people are saying the same thing. You know, they weren't impressed with the acting, they weren't impressed with the storytelling, they weren't impressed with the writing. You know, I think it. You know, it was said to have been around about 180 million US dollars that
Mm,
was supposed to be worth, but then someone worked it out that it was 180 million um, Great British pounds. So of course
oh,
that
right.
bumped it up to near
Yeah,
enough
yeah, yeah, yeah,
200 million. And
yeah.
then I think the latest report, I think it's up to near enough 300 million that series cost. And
Mm,
you just think that's a
yeah,
lot of money. And I know these people, when I left X, they were saying save the acolyte and stuff like that. Well, I tell you what, to all you guys who do want to save the acolyte, dip your hand in your pocket and get
mm,
your own money out, because Disney
yeah,
aren't going to fork
yeah,
out another 300 million for a series. It's as simple as that. If they want to fund it, you guys, you fans, then
yeah.
please do, and let's see what you can do with it. Des, what are your earliest memories of Star Wars?
Earliest memories of Star Wars. Um, it, it's just always been there. I can't really sort of pinpoint. Oh, I can remember going and watching the first time at the cinema. It's just there. I just can't
Yeah.
remember um, it not being there, if that makes sense. You know,
Mm,
it's just. I mean, I was born in '72, so I was sort of 5.5 when it came out.
right.
Um, but I went to see it initially. I can't remember it. I'll be honest, I can't remember watching it. Like BOE says, he can remember going to this and getting the bus and doing. I can't remember going to watch it, but I did. Um,
Yeah.
and I've got a picture of me and my brother with the Palatoy Death Star.
Oh, wow.
Oh God, I wish I had that now. Looking at the prices from Echo, but it was well played with,
Yeah.
uh, and it's just always been there. You know, that's
Mm.
that's that's it. It's just I don't want to say I've got an early memory of it because it's just been there.
So you say you like it's always been there. What what stands out for you then from your childhood with regards to Star Wars?
I think it's the sort of good versus evil. The, the good guys win through adversity. Um, and then it, having the toys was
Yeah.
such a big part of it
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
For me and my brother, there's only 18 months difference between the two of us, and we both loved it. Playing it, I mean, you think that there's only 96 figures. We didn't have more when we were kids, but
Yeah.
they just got played to death, and that's what we did. You know, it's
Mm.
yeah, it's just been there.
Yeah.
The I say it's hard to sort of say. What I enjoyed about it was the world building and
Yeah.
sorry, not the world, but the general world that it was. The
Yeah.
Falcon that didn't start every time,
Yeah.
just like your dad's car wouldn't sort of start every time. The used universe, I think, was the phrase coined.
That's it. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, they just enjoyed that. It was like I still couldn't sort of understand. Well, why aren't we getting in a spaceship and flying to another planet? You know what I mean? It's that
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
thing.
So what
Like
about
they did it.
with the toys then? Did the toys come first for you, or was it the movie? Oh, yeah, I
The
was going to say if
movie,
you went to see it in '77, it would have been the movie. Yeah.
yeah, well, we'll say 77. It would have been sort of 78, I think, by the time it came
Oh,
out here.
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So the movie would have come first, but I'll just
Yeah.
say, just I remember the toys more than the actual film. I say I don't know when the first time it came back, because obviously you got to remember then it wasn't obviously no streaming services or
Yeah.
VHSs or certainly DVDs and that. So you couldn't. Right, what should we do tonight? Let's put Star Wars on. You had to wait for it to come on the TV, and you couldn't even record it in the early days. I don't know when we didn't get our first tape recorder till about '84, I think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you couldn't watch it on tap. So yeah, the film would have officially come first, but the
Yeah.
toys you can recreate the film through
Yeah.
toys, which is
Yeah.
again that's why I love the world building. That's why I want all the background characters and the characters you see for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Who,
Yeah.
as a kid, who do you have playing Garindan? Because you want
Well,
Garindan.
yeah. True.
You know what I
True.
mean?
I mean, why do you think that they never did those kind of figures then? Why? Because they, so when Star Wars come out, no one knew that it was going to be a massive success. So obviously the toy company at the time, Kenner, were caught with their pants down. So they didn't have anything ready,
Yeah.
did they? Really,
No.
as action figure wise. So that what they had to do was like loads of different merchandise and stuff like that. So knowing how well the film had done and how well it was received, and how popular it was, and become this massive pop culture success. Why do you think that they didn't go into the characters more and give us more of those figures like Garindan and other
Dunno.
figures like that?
I don't know. I'm not the one to ask, but I
Oh,
know what
well,
you're saying. So yeah, why
yeah,
didn't they? Because as a kid, I'd have loved that.
yeah,
It really irked me why
yeah,
you couldn't have certain characters playing themselves because you couldn't get them.
yeah.
Um, but
I mean, I
yeah,
think within when the Empire Strikes Back came out, I thought the figure range for the Empire Strikes Back was a lot better because you did end up getting a lot more of the figures that were actually in the characters in the film. And then again, with the Return of the Jedi, you had all the Jabba's goons. I mean, yeah, they didn't do all of them, but the majority of them were there. So you
yeah,
could kind of, you know,
yeah.
fulfill those spaces and stuff, tick those
Because you
boxes.
think, I mean, because I did do deep cut characters in Star Wars. You think of Ponda Baba. I know there's a
Yeah,
scene specifically with him,
yeah,
um, but there were a lot of Hammerhead. It is a bit of a blink and you miss him sort of character, even though he's what we'd call now an iconic character
yeah,
because
yeah,
he's one of the '96 and one of the early '96.
yeah,
Um, but so they weren't adverse to doing deep cut characters. But
yeah.
you think Mon Mothma never brought Mon
Well,
Mothma?
yeah, good point. Why did they not do her? I mean,
They
they
have
did have
now,
Akbar.
obviously. If
Yeah,
you've
they
got a
did
pretty
Akbar. They
lady,
did General Madine, but they never did her in the original canon, did they?
yeah, yeah,
So
you know.
when did you start to appreciate Star Wars, the film itself, for the special effects, the storytelling, and all that sort of stuff? Obviously, you must have been a little bit older.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah, yeah, maybe sort of early teens, early sort of to mid-teens. You
Yeah,
sort of maybe sort of stop playing with the toys as such, so you're enjoying the film. It's like a comfy blanket. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Comfort blanket,
yeah,
and it.
yeah,
You're a bit of a if your football team lost at the weekend, or if your team sort of lost whatever, that you sort of go down a bit of in the dumps. You put that on.
put that on. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good feel good sort of factor. Um,
Absolutely. And well, the film for me was if I was off sick, it would be a film that I just sit on the sofa under the blanket and
yeah,
watch it on the telly. Do you know what I mean? That was
exactly.
obviously when we had the video recorders and stuff
Yeah,
like that. We
yeah,
taped it off the telly. Blinking
yeah,
adverts though. God dear me.
yeah,
But I mean,
yeah,
that was great though, wasn't it? I can remember like my dad every time we watched a film where he's recording a film, the old adverts would come on and he'd scramble up and press pause on the old button and stuff
yeah,
like that and stop it recording. And
yeah.
but
Well,
oh my
wasting
God.
not so much that you don't want to watch the videos; it's you're wasting tape.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But yeah, yeah.
So I mean, with Star Wars, I mean, there's lots of things that stood out for me. Like I say, the special effects, the music, the characters, the storytelling, the character building. What was it that stood out for you more so than anything else within Star Wars? So it doesn't necessarily have to be the original trilogy. It could be, the prequels. It could be the sequels. Anything that they've done on Disney Plus.
I think that the characters, strong characters,
Yeah.
to a certain degree, comedic characters. You think of Jar Jar. At the time, he was a bit kiddie.
Yeah.
But when you look back now, and you watched the Phantom Menace, I think if you took all of Jar Jar's sort of scenes out, he's not really in it that much.
He's not. He's
You
not.
know,
But it seemed like a lifetime.
yeah, watching
Do
it.
you know
Oh
what I
yeah,
mean? It's one of
yeah,
those. Oh
yeah.
gosh.
But it's there for sort of bit of comic relief sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But it's all right. But yeah, just the detail. You know, when you look at some of the the detail in it, and you don't need to know how a hyperdrive works, because it's the hyperdrive, and that puts you into hyperspace.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. You don't
Yeah.
need to know how that works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just punch it, Chewie, and they
Would,
go away.
would you saying about that about the hyperdrive? We don't need to know everything about how it works and stuff like that. Would you say that about characters as well? Certain characters, we don't need to know the whole of their backstory. We like them just how they are. We like the mystery, and I'm talking about Boba Fett.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose with that, I want to know all about Boba Fett, because he's such a cool character. I think what it is, it's when they tell you this is Boba Fett, and because it's not the way you thought it was going to be, and you've had best part of 30 years to think of his sort of story pre sort of Sarlacc pit, and then well, we didn't even think he'd come out of the Sarlacc pit.
No.
But it's and because it doesn't turn out how you want it, are you disappointed because it's not your version of it? Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And would you put that down to fans' expectations?
To a degree, yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know, but then you got to certain degree, you got to pander to the fans, because it's the fans that make it run to the next one. So, you know, in the Mandalorian, that there was a bit of I can't think what episode or series, maybe in series 2, they were saying, oh, there's too much Easter eggs. No, I love Easter eggs.
Was there?
But
I don't think there was.
It might have been season 3, or it might have been another.
I don't think there were too many Easter eggs at all in the Mandalorian. I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, I did. I thought it was great. I want to see more. You know, why not have R5D4 as the droid that sort of helps him?
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
It's just things like that. It's the one thing, again, I've gone off on a bit of a tangent. The one thing that sort of disappointed me about the sequels, and I thought the sequels were fine. I thought they could have been better, but they were all right. Again, it's Star Wars on the big screen. It's that's what I want. I want Star Wars.
Yeah.
But why do we have to get new aliens, but have older aliens?
Yeah.
I'm not saying you need to have. I know Greedo's dead, but you don't need to have Greedo, but have some more Rhodians, have some more Twi'leks. You know, rather than I mean, the one that really got me with, I think it must have been in the Last Jedi, and I genuinely thought someone's just made this up, and it was some in Maz Kanata's cantina. It was, I can only describe it as a minion, a furry minion in a Batman costume. And I'm like, what the hell is this?
Oh, really? Yeah.
And I thought someone had made a joke, but move on. Just I'm quite good at just moving on, you know.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
But I wish that would have helped me piece or connect the sequel, the prequels, original trilogy, and the sequels all together.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know
I agree with you, Des. I really do. I think when you go, if a new person's, they want to attract a new audience, you'll look at these characters and think, oh wow, blimey, these characters are great and stuff like that, and where did they originate from, and I want to see more about them. You go back and you watch the original trilogy and you'll see those aliens that are in that film, so you get to know it's like, I know we're talking about Star Wars here, but it's like Star Trek. You've always had Klingons, you've always had Romulans, you know, and then you've had your main like bunch of aliens, didn't you?
Yeah.
And then you just bring in
one or two
more, you know, to for the new people and stuff like that.
Not necessarily the same character, but
the
same race.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean though? When I'm comparing it to Star Trek, I know I shouldn't because it's two totally
Don't
different things.
swear at me.
And Star Wars, I'm so sorry. I was, oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But no, I know what you mean, and for me, I think to get a new audience to come and watch Star Wars, yeah, get them in with the new stuff, but then make it so that they want to go back and watch the old stuff as
yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah.
So you know,
I mean,
but,
don't get me wrong. Some of the new aliens and some of the new characters I thought were great and really good sort of characters.
yeah.
But just you don't have to. Oh no, that's OT. We don't need that.
It's
We'll
like
have
they've
new stuff.
separated it all, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah,
well, that's all George Lucas is.
yeah,
It's like we're moving away from everything George Lucas has created and trying to
yeah.
create and reinvent the wheel.
Because at the end of the day, well, Poe Dameron's a new character, but he's a human.
Yeah,
Ray's a new character, but she's human.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
just
yeah,
that's what sort of not annoyed me, frustrated me.
yeah. And I think it's you have, it is frustration. For me, it's disappointment because you think, oh God, what? Why can't George Lucas for me left the foundations of Star Wars in a really, really great place, a great platform to build so many more cool stories on and movies and TV shows, whatever Disney wanted to do. And for some reason, it just seems that whether it was Disney, whether it was Kathleen Kennedy, I don't know, but they've just wanted to take apart everything that George Lucas has
Mm,
done and reinvent the wheel and do their own thing. I mean, fine, but and I think that's what gets a lot of people angry with Star Wars, and I think there's why there's so much divide.
yeah, it's the old saying: "It wasn't broke, why fix it?"
Well, there you are. Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
But,
so
but then I think Disney. I think I thought Andor was fantastic. I
yeah,
loved Andor.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and Rogue One I thought was great. Again, I know it's that Andor sort of vibe. Solo, I thought Solo was good, and Solo. It's they're three of my favourite Star Wars books. The original Han Solo trilogy, Rebel
okay.
Dawn, and the Paradise Snare, and I can't think of the other one is.
Are they still canon?
No, no,
No.
because because it's Bria Tharon. He plays the young Han Solo's love interest,
Okay.
and they go to Yalesia, and they sort of it's the sort of Talander Till sort of thing,
Right.
and it's just such a great what the Hans because Han Solo is my favourite character anyway, and it's
Yeah.
just what he gets up to as a young lad with Talon Card, and when he was like a space pirate, and it's just how he sort of dealings with his cousin Thraken Southside. Loved
Yeah.
it, just loved it.
Wow.
And it's Bria Tharon, who's Han's love interest, he rescues without going off on another story. He
Yeah.
rescues her from the sort of like a cult,
Yeah.
and she sort of leaves him and becomes basically she's Jyn Erso. That's the sort of character, and it's
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Bria Tharon that gets the plans for the Death Star,
Oh wow.
and that's how it sort of happens. Fantastic. If you ever get them, Steve.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I mean,
because they're not canon now, they're
yeah.
sort of worthless.
It's a shame because I mean, after the Return of the Jedi, no one thought there was going to be any more Star Wars. But then you had like people like Timothy Zahn and other people like writing books and stuff like that, and creating this expanded universe and stuff like that. And it just dived so deep
Oh, I
into it
loved
and
it.
stuff like that. It was fantastic. It's such a shame that it that got sort of like wiped out, so to
Yeah.
speak, and it was just pushed aside. And
See, I don't know whether. Again, I'm not sort of. Did they not have? Couldn't they not have the rights to it? I don't know how that all works. You know what I mean? I'm
I
not
think
sort of
Disney
the
just wanted a
legalities of
new.
it all.
I just think Disney wanted to come in and wipe the slate clean
Yeah,
as far as that sort of thing was
yeah,
concerned. Because if you look at the time, um, Disney, Disney had just bought Lucasfilm out and Star Wars and stuff like that. I think they were like halfway through season 6 of the animated series of Clone Wars. That just abruptly stopped. Disney said,
yeah,
"Right, stop. We
yeah.
want you to do something totally different." So they did, and then they come up with Rebels. Now I was like, "Oh, what?" I mean, Clone Wars for me, I just absolutely love that animated series. I think it's brilliant. The stories, the character development, the writing, even the backstories into like characters like Count Dooku and stuff like that, which you didn't really get to see in the films because he wasn't on screen that much. So to see him in action and stuff like that, I thought was absolutely brilliant. And then you got the Sorry, go on.
I'm going to say I need to watch Clone Wars again because.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Because I've watched them, but it's bits. I need to have a good, but because there's so much of it.
There is. Well, there was six seasons at the time.
Yeah.
So this comes back, the point we're kind of making earlier. They've come back round and they've done Clone Wars season 7, Dave Filoni and stuff like that. But they did a great job with it because they've picked off exactly where they picked up where they've left off from from season 6. So they've carried that story on, and it ties in perfectly to what goes on just before Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
So if they've done that with an animated series, why then could they have not done that with, say, like the sequels and just like, okay, we'll pick up from here? Because for me, I think a great idea would have been to have started with the fact that Emperor Palpatine, they created the clones, so it was obvious that he was going to clone himself. So why didn't they start with that?
Yeah.
For me, it's just they just get these people in to write these Star Wars films but are they made for Star Wars? Are they meant for Star Wars? J.J. Abrams, Rian Johnson, were they right for Star Wars? They're great directors in their own rights, I'm sure. But when it comes to Star Wars, I don't think they kind of, because it was like, oh, we're fans of Star Wars. Yeah, but you might be, but it doesn't mean to say that you're going to make a decent film or write a decent story.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, they left themselves wide open for sort of criticism. I thought they were right. I know this will upset Shabby, but
Shabby's had his say. Don't worry about Shabby. He's had his episode.
I thought they were all right. They again could have been better, but I thought they was all right.
No, fair enough. I liked Force Awakens, but again, it was the hype and all the anticipation for Star Wars coming back again. Because I mean, again, it was like it with the prequels. It was for me. I was so excited about the prequels because I was wow, we're going to go back and see the beginning of Star Wars and how it all started. And I remember feeling, oh, okay, this is all about like the political side of Star Wars and stuff like that. There wasn't that much kind of action like the original Star Wars. And I thought, well, it's different. We'll see what happens. And then the Attack of the Clones came along, and again, I felt it was very much like a murder mystery in space kind of thing, or like a whodunit type sort of thing, and what have you. And I think there's a lot of CGI, and for me, I'm kind of old school. I like the old style of filming, the sets and the models and stuff like that.
Right,
I mean, great, the ships look fantastic, but I think a lot of the locations, not so much stop motion. I think CGI is great if you don't rely on it to tell the story, or just rely on the CGI to carry the film through. There needs to be story as well, and I think there was great story within the prequels, but I think there was just too much CGI for my liking. But then again, because of the Clone Wars, I appreciate them a lot more now.
Thing is, I suppose a lot of it is because it was CGI in its sort of infancy.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So and you sort of look at it now. You got to look at it now through eyes of from 25 years ago. You look at CGI now, and it's technology's far. So it is a bit sort of you got to look at it through sort of eyes, let's say, from 25 years ago, rather than.
That's what surprised me with George Lucas, because he had written these drafts of these films, so he started off with 4, 5, and 6. So it's obvious that he was wanting to go back and do 1, 2, and 3. He didn't do it straight after Return of the Jedi. We all thought Star Wars was done. So he did then, a few years later, after Jurassic Park, where CGI really sort of enhanced those dinosaurs, and everybody's like, "Wow, that was great." He was the same. He thought, okay, now he even said, right, I can go back and I can make my movies 1, 2, and 3 how I want to make them. Because I think he was a little bit disappointed with Star Wars, with some of the special effects, even though they were groundbreaking at the time. Like the cantina scene and stuff like that. So that's why he went back and changed bits and bobs and stuff like that with the special editions.
But I think he's the type of guy, of which I suppose a lot of directors are. They if they could do, they'll tweak and tweak. and
Yeah.
tweak and keep tweaking it, and then they're not happy with that. And I suppose is he one of those never happy?
Yeah.
A lot of
Do you
Star Wars
do you
fans.
do you I mean, do you think that the original trilogy needed tweaking?
Um, I enjoy the scenes. I think a lot of it was clean up. I think you said about it in a previous episode with the snow speeder.
Yeah.
You could see sort of things through
Yeah,
the
yeah,
sort of like
the
what
cat
was
in the
meant.
cockpit. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think obviously things like that done. But the scenes on Bespin when he sort of opened up the windows so you could see things on the windows through. I think
Yeah,
that enhanced it.
yeah,
I enjoyed the Jabba scene. He got round it, but no pun intended, as best he could.
yeah.
And as a kid, I think that makes kids laugh. Sort of, as he
Yeah,
sort of steps
yeah,
on the back of him,
yeah,
you know. But yeah, it adds to it. Whether that's
yeah,
good or bad, it adds to it.
yeah, yeah.
You know.
And just one last thing on George Lucas. Do you think he regrets selling Star Wars? And with the way technology is now, he could have done his episodes. No, you don't? No?
But then did he need it? Did he need that extra money?
No, I don't think he
You
did.
know,
You know,
I think
I don't think he did. And I
think
don't
well,
know. It's
put it this
weird. I
way,
mean,
Stu, what's he done since? I no, I don't know
well,
whether he's
I don't think I don't know. I know he said that he wanted to make movies for himself and to do the movies that he wanted to do, and
Yeah.
that's why he started off on his own, because he was fed
Yeah.
up with the way Hollywood was,
Yeah.
with these big companies that were producing these films, coming in and changing stuff and saying you can't do that, you need to cut this, you need to cut that.
Yeah.
That's why he started up his own company, Lucasfilm Limited,
Yeah.
because he was then right. I've got the final say. No one's going to mess with my films.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
But yeah.
but yeah, what about the music for you? I mean, how important is the music for you in Star Wars?
I'm sort of. I suppose I'm going to contradict myself a bit.
Okay.
It's sort of that good, you don't notice it. I
Okay.
don't know whether that makes sense. It's because it's just a part of the scenery. It's a part of the whole environment. It sort of leads you into it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
So, which I say, I contradict myself a bit. It's that good you don't notice it.
Yeah. I
Because
know what you mean. I know what you mean. But it's just so I've been watching these orchestras on YouTube and stuff like that, and there's this one film symphony orchestra that I watch the channel and stuff like that, and I just love listening to the music from the films. And I've watched a few other like movies and stuff like that. They've done the music to those as well. But some of the Star Wars, the John Williams score is so iconic, isn't it? It's just
Yeah.
incredible.
I
You've got
think
everything.
if you mute it, it just feels completely different.
Yeah,
Whether that be the music or even some of the sounds.
yeah.
The one that
Well, the sound as well was great, wasn't it?
yeah, but the one that always with the sound that gets me in Attack of the Clones when Django drops off the sonic charge,
Oh, seismic charge.
seismic charge. Sorry,
Yeah, yeah,
because you notice that lack of noise.
yeah.
What? And then
Yeah. That was that. I've got to say that. Every movie. I always say every movie with Star Wars. There's wow moments. There was loads of them in the original trilogy. There were a couple in the original, not the original, the episode 1, The Phantom Menace. The lightsaber scene. I thought that double-bladed lightsaber was fantastic.
The announcement of that was just
Yeah. But you saying about, because for me, I think Attack of the Clones was the weakest of the 3 movies, the prequels. But you saying that about that seismic charge sound, that was a wow moment for me, because I've never heard anything like it. It was just incredible.
Yeah.
And watch it in the pictures as well with the surround sound and stuff like that. It's like,
I think Ben Burt said it enhances the sound of the charge going off with having that split second silence.
Yeah.
It emphasizes it even more. So yeah.
But I mean, Ben Burt was an absolute genius at what he did with the sound design. John Williams with the musical score, an absolute genius. And I don't think that Star Wars would be Star Wars without the score and the sounds
Absolutely not. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no
Like I
way,
say,
no way.
sometimes if you put it on mute or something while someone's talking about it, and it just it's a different picture or a different movie completely. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Because
yeah,
you
yeah,
need that, and that's why it's is that good. That's what I'm saying. It's that good. You don't notice it, but you
yeah.
take it away, and it's what's going on because you
Yeah.
need it there.
Oh,
It's
absolutely,
it's as
absolutely.
essential
And
as
it
everything.
was really weird because in 2016 when they did the, Star Wars Celebration in Orlando, Florida, it was, it was the year, Carrie Fisher had passed away sadly at the beginning of the year, and they had Celebration in at the, middle of the year, towards the end of the year, whenever it was. And, John Williams was actually there in Orlando, the convention center,
Yeah.
and they, they did a, oh, what do they call it? Oh, what do you call it when they celebrate someone? Not a celebration, oh, for goodness sake, it's gone. But they oh, what is it when you remember someone? What do you call it? They call it not a service. Oh, for goodness sake.
I think I know what you mean, Stu.
Yeah, yeah. I have no idea
Yeah.
what I'm saying here. I can't think of the word. But they did that for Carrie Fisher, and John Williams played Leia's theme, and
Mm,
it was, oh, that was so
yeah.
emotional. It
Yeah.
really was. It really was. And I'm
Yeah.
really annoyed that I can't remember what the word
Edit
is.
it in, Stu. Edit it in.
Yeah. Um, so with Star Wars then, how important is story to you within the Star Wars universe?
Yeah, you need a story. Without a story, it's it's just people mucking about, isn't it? With fluorescent tubes and a big hairy dog. You need a story.
Yeah,
It's essential because like I say, otherwise there's no. You need that narrative. You need somewhere. You need a start point and an end point, and everything that goes off in the middle. Yeah,
yeah.
you need something. Um, Definitely.
I mean, do you think throughout for the whole, so I've got to say 9 films, the whole 9 films, do you think the story makes sense? I mean, or do you think it kind of like loses its way with the sequels?
Yeah, the sequels it goes off on a bit of a tangent. Um, it doesn't the whole Snoke thing. It was a bit, you know,
Yeah,
it's as if they didn't start this. Well, this is what we're going to do. Um, you look at Lord of the Rings. I know they had the story there, but
yeah,
they could have done that with Star Wars and get the Star Wars story there. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to get to it. We can have a little bit of fun bit there to go into Canto Bight. We can do that. Make that something because we've got to get something or someone or whatever from that sort of that sort of scene. Bring him back or bring whatever back and carry on. It was a bit disjointed.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Sort of, yeah. But I think that's just you'd like to think that they're clever enough to think, this is just me sat up some loft saying that. They got intelligent people that should work that out. You'd have
yeah,
thought, you know.
yeah. Would you say that's down to, I wouldn't say a lack of caring, but just it's Star Wars. We can do whatever. People are going to love it. So they got a bit blasé about it, a bit casual about it, or do you think it was just lazy writing?
Maybe a bit of both. Maybe they thought this is how we can go with it. At the end of the day, they don't want to make a bad film or TV program. They want to do something that's worthwhile and people are going to enjoy. Whether they've just picked up the story and just ran with it and ran the wrong way, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But then in saying
Because
that, there's other people that enjoy it and really do enjoy it.
well, yeah, no, I like I say, I totally get that, and people might not enjoy the original trilogy. They might think it's dated and something like and stuff like that, which which is fair enough. But I think I've got to say this from my own point of view. I am really, really delighted and happy that I grew up in that era where we had Star Wars for the first time, because it was all new. We were seeing it for the first time. It was exciting. You know, we wanted to go out and play with our toys and stuff like that. And it has had a big impact on people's lives. I mean, just look at your room, you know, and I mean, and that is all because of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it has a big impact on people's lives. So do you feel that if you were a kid now, Star Wars would have that bigger impact on you now as a child as what it did when you grew up with it, with the original trilogy?
Probably not, because there's so much other stuff around. You got to remember,
Yeah,
in the sort of in the 70s, early 80s, what else was there to sort of, three channels on the telly, no sort of home entertainment as such regarding your sort of, your videos, or certainly DVD players weren't a thing
yeah,
in our formative years. Computer games had only just sort of started,
yeah,
sort of coming out, for those that for those that played it. So it was just that perfect timing for me with Star Wars was just perfect.
yeah,
Like I say, I was sort of 5 or 6, and yeah, just the sort of toys came out, and the films, and it was just, and all your mates were as well.
yeah,
So you're sort of taking your stuff around to you, and they might have an AT-AT, you might not have an AT-AT, or Vicky Verky, whatever.
yeah, yeah,
So you're sort of playing that. The figures you could pretty much leave at your house because everybody had the figures,
yeah,
but it was just a
yeah,
certain ship, but then that's what one of my favourite ships as a kid was the Rebel Transport,
yeah. What a
because
great, that is a great ship. Yeah,
it's a carry case, you know.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just the little handle on the top. Put
yeah,
whatever figures you want in it. Even if you just took all your sort of spare stormtroopers, or rebel
yeah,
troopers, or
yeah,
whatever,
yeah. No,
on that.
absolutely. I agree with what you're saying there. And that question actually segues very nicely into my next question, with how important do you think the older generation of Star Wars fans are to the Star Wars franchise?
You just look at Echo. What was the demographic at Echo?
Yeah,
40 to 60.
yeah,
And how many people were there? And why were they there? Because they love Star Wars. They love collecting the toys. They just love it. They love Star Wars.
yeah,
And how much money they were spending. It's
yeah,
on some of the items. So, yeah. But I think, um, it's important to get the youngsters to continue it, to continue the sort of franchise going forward.
yeah,
But then my girl was a sort of late 20s. I won't say they're big Star Wars fans, but they like Star Wars. I think I've drummed that into them, to be fair.
That's
My
good
nephew,
parenting there. There's good parenting.
my nephew loves Star Wars. He's got
Yeah,
Star Wars tattoos on his leg. He loves it, and he's hopefully passing that on to his son.
yeah.
So, but to answer your question, yeah, of course they're important. But then I think every fan is important as Star Wars.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just meaning the older generation of Star Wars fans, because we're the ones that are getting called, like, certain branded certain names and stuff like that, because some of us didn't like a certain program or certain
Yeah.
TV series or a certain film. I mean, if 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 you was a youngster now, I mean, I think you pretty much said it. Star Wars wouldn't have had that bigger impact on you. Do you think it's quite off-putting if someone's coming into Star Wars for the first time? I mean, where have you been, if you are at this day and age? Would you think it'd be quite off-putting with the way the fan base is, with the constant to and fro and bickering, the argument, and it is toxic, and it's not toxic as in like us toxic males because we don't like this and don't like that. It's just a toxic environment in general, I feel. Do you think that would put people off?
Um, I suppose it all depends on the individual. You
Yeah,
know, Again, if they're people like me that just, I don't care what anybody else thinks. I'll watch it if I watch it and I like it, I'll watch it and I'll like it. You know, or
yeah,
I won't like it. But yeah, I suppose if you're one of those people that sort of reads all the reviews on things and then will watch it, but you've still got the reviews in your head.
yeah.
you know,
the thing is with reviews, they're not factual. They're just people's opinions. So people can't take someone's opinion as a fact. You've got to make your own mind up. You've got to go into these with an open mind. And I think that is what a lot of people are doing, and they're coming away from it, and they're saying they've watched it and they don't. So for me, for example, I watched Acolyte. I wasn't too keen on it after the first 2 episodes. I thought, oh God, okay, but it's the first 2 episodes. You can't judge a series until it's completed. It gets to the end of the series and stuff like that. That's why I gave my review at the end of the series when I'd watched everything. So I'd watched it, and I thought it was a fair review. I mean, they're just my thoughts and opinions. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it wrong. But there are some people who can't accept the fact that people do not like it, and this is what annoys me. If people like it, that's fine, great, brilliant, well done. But if you don't like it, I think it's wrong that you are called certain names and you're branded. You're not a true Star Wars fan. You don't get Star Wars, and I'm like, hang on a minute. I've been with Star Wars from the beginning. Yeah. Don't tell me I don't get Star Wars. I do, and that's not it, unfortunately, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? So it's okay to like something, but you can't dislike it. And I think that's just the day and age we're living in at the moment.
Yeah. I think Yakface said about it. I don't know whether he got the sort of the sound bite from somewhere else, but I remember seeing it on his Facebook page or whatever, and he said Star Wars is like a buffet.
Yeah,
you can help yourself to a bit of this, you can help yourself to a bit of that. If you don't like a bit of that, you leave it.
Yeah.
If you want to, you know what I mean. And I thought that's a good analogy. You know, that's sort of
it's like Si said in an earlier episode. It's like Batman. There's been loads of Batman. He said some of it's been really great. It's been fantastic. Other Batman stuff hasn't been as great. So, you know, it's not going to be great all the time. And I think, and I think it's okay not to like something. You know, it doesn't make you any less of a fan. And like you've said there, there's so much Star Wars these days that you can sort of pick and choose. And and I think people should be free and able to do that without the worry of not liking something and then being branded certain names and stuff like that. But anyhow, how important are strong female characters within Star Wars?
They're important, but then so is an important alien. So is an important male. All characters are important, and when I say important, I mean they've got to be
integral to the story.
Yeah, exactly. But even if they're a bit part player, you know, they've got to be sort of believable.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's a slug. I'm thinking of Claude from The Force Awakens, or is he The Last Jedi? He's got to be believable. So, you know, so they're all important.
Yeah.
Just because it's a female, I don't say it doesn't matter. I don't mean it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They've all got to be important. You know.
Yeah. And look, the reason I'm asking this question again is because the head of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, has come out and said toxic male fans are scared of strong female leads.
Leia,
but we're not.
Leia, Padme.
I know.
You know, so
conveniently forgot that. Yeah.
You know.
But this is why I'm asking the question, because I do think it's important for the Star Wars community to understand that we do want strong female characters in Star Wars. We've got no issue with it. We never have. But we want well-written female characters in it. Yeah. Not just because she's a female, she automatically knows everything. I mean, Rey, I'm using Rey as an example. She could have been such a great character, but I think they were really lazy with her. And she was poorly written, in my opinion. So I don't think she stands up to people like Princess Leia, Padme, even Ahsoka. I mean, what a great character she is. Ahsoka Tano, she was an animated character. Yeah. She was so good and well received that they turned her into live action. It's the same with Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
You know, so these characters are there.
Again, it doesn't matter what gender, what race. If you're a character, I want you to be believable. That's all.
Yeah.
And that's it, you know.
Yeah. You know, for me, it just seems at the moment that I think with the way things are going with Star Wars at the moment, they're certainly pushing boundaries, and I get that, but don't let that be the focal point of why you're doing this. You know, characters need to be well written. They can be gay, they can be female. Do you know what I mean? They can be black. It doesn't matter. We just want, like you said, believable, well written stories with character development that people are going to care for. And you know, in the original trilogy, I cared for Luke, I cared for Chewie, I cared for Leia, I cared for Han. You know, because we had 3 years apart from each film, and it was an excitement to get to see those characters again. So that's where that comes into it. And it was the same with the prequels, I guess. You know, yes, we knew what was going to happen to Anakin Skywalker, but it was still like, wow.
It was that
You know,
journey to get there.
yeah. And it was, you know.
I mean, I don't know whether it's you think the original trilogy, 77, 80, 83, the prequels, 99, 2002, 2005,
Yeah.
the sequels, 2015, then Rogue One, which, okay.
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah.
So it's only 2 years between The Force Awakens and Last Jedi. And then Solo.
Yeah.
And so you know what I mean? So in 5 years, you had 5 films. It was
Yeah.
Whereas you sort of didn't have time to digest like we did with the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. So whether that was something, it was too much. And then when they put out, I think Solo came out at Christmas, and then it wasn't even a year till The Rise of Skywalker comes out. It was like the next May. You know what I mean? Whether it was just too much too soon.
Do you know what, Des? I'm going to say yes. I think you're absolutely right. I think it was, and I think it was a case of quantity over quality. Now, Rogue One, it was a great film. I thought it was very well written, very well directed, very well acted, and it had a very diverse cast as well on top of that. But it told a story, and it was a really good story, you know. And I think, but should it have been stuck in between Force Awakens and The Last Jedi? Do you think they should have waited and put The Last Jedi back another year and given it that extra year to give it that 3-year gap?
Exactly. That's the sort of you got time to sort of you don't want too much time, but you know, is that a coincidence that the prequels and the original trilogy had that sort of gap, but the other didn't, and also had Rogue One and Solo in it as well?
Possibly, or is it the fact that the way movies are made now, it makes it that much easier, that much quicker?
Yeah, could be.
To be able to
again, it's a coincidence that not long after they sort of they bought the Star Wars and Lucasfilm, it was boom, 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 you know, to get the films out, you know.
I think you're right. I think there was too much too soon. They should have waited. There should have been that 3-year gap between the films, and I think it could have probably resolved a lot of issues with storytelling and character development and stuff like that. Because I mean, even in you know with the sequels, not the sequels, the prequels and the original trilogy, because you had that 3-year gap, you sort of knew what was going on because you had the big scroll at the beginning, and stuff like that. So that kind of filled in like the gaps for the 3 years and stuff like that.
Plus, you've got that good anticipation running up to it, whereas because you're sort of almost on the back of the previous film. Not that I'd ever be Star Wars fatigued, but you know, you watch it at Christmas, you sort of watch it, and maybe it comes out on DVD in May, so you get the DVD, and then all of a sudden you're into the next film.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I mean, you look how The Last Jedi affected Solo. By the time Solo came out, people were like, "Nah, I'm done."
Yeah,
and that was because of the way The Last Jedi was. I mean, it took a lot of criticism. It really did. And you know, when I think about it, I think yes, it's correct, because I think he just went off in a totally different direction and didn't respect anything that J.J. Abrams did before. And then that's probably why Colin Trevorrow looked at that and thought, well, sod this, I'm not doing the third one because I don't know where I'm going to go with this. So they brought J.J. Abrams back. But look how Solo was affected. Like I say, I don't think that did that great at the box office.
But I enjoyed Solo. Yeah, again, he's my favourite character. I thought the actor Aiden L something or other.
Eldrick,
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah,
yeah. He's not Harrison Ford. He's never going to be Harrison Ford
yeah,
because he's not Harrison Ford.
yeah, yeah.
But I thought he was all right. I thought he'd done all right. You just accept it. Just accept that
Yeah,
he's not.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was okay, and I think it would have been great if we could have seen more of that underworld side. You know,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
cartels, the criminal
yeah,
cartels, and the spice
yeah,
smuggling and all that sort of stuff. That would be great to have gone into that in a bit more detail.
yeah.
Maybe I've done a second one because I think Solo was so affected by the Last Jedi. They thought, well, yeah, there's no point doing a
Yeah,
second one.
yeah.
So,
See, I
which is a
thought there was
shame.
going to be some Orlando series as well with Donald Glover,
That's
but
still
that
being touted. That's still
is
they're
it
still talking about that,
because
but
I
a
think
lot
that
of projects have been put on hold. A lot of
yeah,
projects have been put on
yeah,
hold.
it's
So
yeah, we'll see, we'll see.
we will, we will. Um, how important is it for Star Wars to be inclusive?
Very important because it's again, if it wasn't for the fans watching it, buying things, the more fans that buy things, and the more fans that watch it, it'll continue. Otherwise, it'll just die a death. So
Yeah,
it's got if you want something to succeed, whatever it is, it's got to be sort of inclusive. To make that appeal to everybody. If it appeals to everybody, then more people are going to want it, whatever the product is.
yeah. But I mean, Star Wars was for everybody. It always has been for
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
So why do you feel that they need to push it to
It's just the way
certain
it's just the way
sections
the world is
of
going, I
society?
suppose. Now it's just the way the world's going. But I don't want to say I'm certainly not narrow-minded, but I'm oblivious to a lot of the stuff that goes on, and
Yeah,
I'll just watch it. Whatever it is.
yeah,
If
yeah.
I enjoy it.
No, that's fair enough. You can't argue with that.
You know?
And look, I've said this before and I'll say it again. No one wants to see Star Wars fail because if it does, we all lose out. It's as
Yeah,
simple as that. You
exactly.
know, Hasbro will stop licensing figures or not, they'll stop making figures because no one's going to buy them.
Yeah.
So, it's a shame, but there you go. Right, we've come to the top of the hour. So I've got one last question for you, Des. Overall, what makes Star Wars great?
I don't know, really. It's the enjoyment. Certainly for me, the enjoyment I get out of it. It's the films. It's just a good story. It's just a good escapism. Um, it's the collections, the meeting people, whoever who likes that, whether it be your mate at work that went and watched it at the weekend and he starts asking you questions about who's this and what's that. It gets conversations going.
Yeah.
It's just yeah. Like I said at the top of the hour. It's always been there. I wouldn't know I wouldn't know what I'd be like if it wasn't there.
Could you imagine a world without Star Wars?
I
Knowing
wouldn't
what you
want.
know, knowing what you know now.
I wouldn't want to. It's
Yeah,
escapism. It's sort of whether I come up here or whether I'm watching on the telly, whether I'm going to Echo. It's just that escapism. I just love it. The whole thing. Yeah,
okay.
if that
Awesome.
makes sense.
It does. And you've hit the nail on the head with escapism. It is escapism. I can come into this room and look at my collection and just escape from everyday life, from the real
But
world.
but
You
that's
want to
just
go
in
you
cardboard
want to watch
boxes.
huh?
But your collection's just in cardboard boxes.
You
Sorry,
had to get it in, Des. You had to get it in. No,
that
no,
was a low blow.
no, no,
Sorry.
no. It's okay. It's okay.
No,
I totally get
it's
it.
looking at your collection. I love it. Just
Well, sometimes just on a tangent, I sometimes feel maybe I should have just kept with collecting Star Wars. It might have been a little bit easier. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
But
yeah. I don't know
there
how
you are.
your wallet copes, Stu.
Well, it's the same as everybody else's, Des. I just split mine across different
Yeah, yeah,
toy lines where you all just go full out on
yeah,
Star Wars and stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah. No,
But
no.
Des, we've come to the top of the hour, mate. Unfortunately, that is the end of the conversation. I've had a great time. It's been absolutely brilliant hearing your thoughts and you listening to your stories and stuff like that,
Lovely
and
stuff.
your reasons why you like it. So, a massive, massive thank you.
No,
And
thank you.
No, it's been a pleasure having you on always. And the reason Dez come on this series is simply because it's Star Wars. It's as simple as that. If you've watched to the end, listened, thank you very much appreciated. Take care, stay safe, and we shall see you in the next one. Bye for now.